Hey there guys, after uploading a video of my Kataphrons with magnetised weapons, I was asked how I did it. Now ideally I should have done this with some new models, but I'm not in a position to get any at the moment, so I'm just going to walk you through the method I used on the existing models that I've shown in the video. So we'll start with the magnet that's actually in the Kataphrons weapon holder. Now, on the model itself, this is a void, so it's a hollow piece of plastic. So how I did this was I mixed up some milliput, which is essentially cheaper green stuff. So mix some of that up together, pack it inside the weapon holder, and then take the weapon, and you're just going to want to kind of pack. Just keep pressing the weapon in and packing that milliput or green stuff into the void while it's drying. Now, using the weapon to pack it, this is choose two things. Obviously, it packs it very nice and tightly, so that it'll not be all crumbly and all over the place when it dries. You'll have a nice flat kind of surface on it at the end. But also by using the gun to do this, it will make sure that the gun will still fit even when it's dried. You're not going to force the gun out of the socket when it's dry. So after you've kind of packed it, you may have some excess ooze over the sides. So just use a craft knife just to scrape the excess away. Now, while it's still setting and not completely set yet, you take your magnets. I used 3x2mm magnets. I purchased these ones off Amazon.co.uk, and you just want to find roughly the middle of the void. I mean, on mine, actually, you can see it's on the parallel or on the line with the groove there. So that's my kind of horizontal mark, and obviously it's quite easy to find the middle vertically. And so I like to keep my magnets on a stem, just as I kind of use it as a handle to then press one of the magnets into the milliput. Now at this point the milliput is still setting, it's not going to be strong enough to hold the magnet, and you'll pull it back out because the magnet strength is stronger. But all you're trying to do is make a hole to hold it. Also, by using the magnets as a handle, you can tell when the hole's deep enough because you'll be able to see the edges of each magnet. So kind of you use each magnet as its own kind of depth marker. So you only need depth for one. So you made the hole. Now I actually like to remove the magnet completely, just leave an empty hole, and let the milliput set. I also, pack it down with the weapon one last time in case I've shifted it by making the magnet hole. And that's then completely done until it sets. After it's set, I'm not sure on the drying time exactly, but I normally leave it about an hour. You can use super glue in the hole for the magnet you've made, and then insert your magnet. Once the super glue's set, that's completely done. So now I'm going to go onto the weapon. So luckily the weapons, at least towards the end, aren't a massive void like on the model. So the plastic is actually able to hold this magnet itself. For this one, I used the Games Workshop hobby drill pin vise. Sorry about the focus. So I started with the 1mm drill bit. Now this is literally just to start a pilot hole, because if you start with a bigger drill bit, it doesn't like to bite and it can skid off, things like that. Whereas the little one digs in, makes a nice little hole, and that will then guide your bigger drill bits. Again, you want to just kind of find the best middle area. Sorry, I'm trying to get the focus. Now it doesn't have to be exactly opposite the magnet in the weapon holder. just because obviously the magnets are strong enough and it's got its own recess to sit in, and that will be enough to hold it. But as long as it's kind of, like I said, roughly on the middle. The worst part is you don't want to break out the sides when you do your bigger drill bit. So yeah, try and find the middle. Start with the 1mm drill bit for a pilot hole, and then you move up to, I like to do them in stages. I go to the 2mm and then the 3mm. And this is just, it's less likely to break out the piece if you remove waste bit at a time rather than just jumping in for the big one. But once you make it up to the big one, you need to remember to only go as deep as you need the magnet to be. So again, holding them, like a stem, you can just obviously use each magnet to measure how deep you need to go. So about that far. So yeah, using the 3mm drill bit, you just want to kind of twist it like kind of quarter turns at a time, taking little bit by little bit out until you reach the same depth as your magnet needs to be. So clear any waste using the drill bit just with light turns or a craft knife, and you can then super glue in your magnet. But obviously this is the very important time to remember the magnets have an attract and repel side. So compare the magnet to your one that's already in your model, and you want it to be on the attract side, not the repel side. So the way I do this is I stick one on, kind of leave the stem on again, super glue the weapon, and then I just kind of super glue onto the last magnet here. Because they're all connected in the series, this will result in a correct facing for the magnet. Quickly remove it just so that we know the super glue doesn't spill onto the next magnet along. Touch it up, make sure it's sitting flat, and let super glue dry. And that's the magnets for the main guns. And that's the exact same process I used for the sidearms, except I used a much smaller magnet. I used the 2mm by 1mm for the arm, not 3x2. So for this arm bit, it was like a kind of rounded ball joint. So I used my craft knife to flatten it off, and then drilled into it using the 1mm first to set that center point, and then the 2mm drill bit to finish it off and get it to size. Again, you holding the all the magnets together, so I can set the depth. Because this was plastic, not a void, once it was drilled out, I just had to super glue one in. And finally, we then had the arm. Which again, because there wasn't a particularly massive void in this one, I think you only have to drill it and super glue it, but I think I made a mistake, or I just wanted to be extra comfortable, so I did add a little bit of milliput to this one, as you can see around the edge of it. Like I said, this wasn't necessary as such. Yeah, actually, I think I accidentally used the 3mm drill bit rather than 2, but say if you use the 2, you will be safe, and you can just super glue it in. Again, remembering those facings, so you don't want to repel the arm off, it needs to be attract to the magnet that's already on the miniature, which, like I said, you can do if you put all your magnets kind of onto the model to begin with, and then glue this one onto the outermost one, and using that to work out your facings, but removing it before before the glue sets on, gluing more than one magnet in. Sorry, I kind of lost focus there at the end. Ideally, I should have done this tutorial with new models and actually done the work as I went. But I hope this was enough to help some of you who've been thinking about magnetising your models.